I'ma keep it very much a stack with you. If you're thinking, oh, Tifa got big titties and cleavage now, we're out of the woods of Sony censorship, boy, you gotta be stupid. You gotta be absolutely dumb, right? You can't necessarily sit here and just say, oh, because we have Tifa with big titties now we can absolutely get out of the censorship hell. No, no, we don't know that yet. This is more of a wait and see type of thing than anything else. Okay, so for those that's not necessarily in the know right now, people are kind of being happy a little too damn early, honestly. When it comes down to it, recently with Sony, they've been making some interesting choices when it comes to games and stuff, right? First of all, it was still a Blade that we've seen where it was just booty the game, Asian booty the game when it comes down to it. And when it comes down to a lot of the stuff that we've seen recently, it is basically priding itself on not necessarily being a censored piece of garbage, honestly. It's priding itself that, yo, you want to look at E's ass cheeks with the damn mark on it? You might want to look at that shit because we put a lot of time and detail into that. We put jiggle fizzes in this damn game. We got plenty of nice ass shots for you to go and see. And when we first saw this, obviously, it was like a, wait a damn minute. Sony's actually allowing this shit and it doesn't seem like there's some foul play here. This is weird. And so basically at that moment in time, we're thinking, okay, this is just a once in a blue moon type of situation. Surely we won't see anything crazy that would happen on Sony's platform again when it comes down to it, right? And then literally just yesterday, we will end up seeing with the recent Final Fantasy VII that's about to be released in a few days, honestly, you're gonna see Tifa in this damn bikini outfit. And you're just looking at this like, damn, she got fat ass titties, oh man. And you're just looking at this like it's some crazy ass event that's just happening, honestly, because you've never seen Tifa titties so damn beautiful. So you're just like, how do we think about this? What are we thinking when it comes down to all this stuff, right? And essentially everybody now is like, oh my gosh, we're back. This is our revenge story. We're finishing the story like Cody Rhodes. We're basically going to be back in the A1 steak sauce of good gaming again. And that's essentially what a lot of people are thinking. So much so that people are thinking that, you know, Senran Kagura has a chance to get back, which for those that don't know, Senran Kagura was one of the first games that Sony honestly screwed when it comes to the censorship and stuff, and was the start of the downfall for Sony and their games and everything of the sort, right? That's literally was like the real deal noticeable start of a lot of that stuff that's happening. Now, when it comes down to all this stuff, all I'm gonna say is, again, hold your horses, hold your hay, because this still is not necessarily confirmation, honestly. We don't necessarily know if this is going to be, you know, the place of actual returning back to normalcy from back in the day. Because again, things like this is now considered wild and based. But back then, this was just the normal of gaming, honestly. This was games that we had back then. Having big titty women characters and sexy women characters doing things and, you know, just having a good time. So seeing them kind of going with this direction with Stellar Blade and with Final Fantasy, it could be the fact that we're getting rid of the ESG, or it could be some other factors as well. You gotta really think about this instead of just a one-track mind that you might have. For starters, when it comes to Stellar Blade, it is coming out, I believe, I'm not necessarily someone that's in business, so I don't know, but I think I remember hearing people talk about how Japan's fiscal year of business don't start until April or whatever. So this could be just for Sony and whatever, or just business in general, how the first game of that fiscal year is going to be, and basically they want this shit to be a blockbuster of a game. It probably won't sell as crazy as a lot of like really well-known AAA games, but it's probably going to sell pretty damn well. And it could be a tactic of them wanting to cash in on whatever the hell they're going to do. And especially if you remember that, you know, obviously the PlayStation 5 isn't doing so hot for their sales, they might just be like, you know what, have E show some ass, have the panty shots. We ain't going to censor this game. We're not going to censor you as hard as we used to do. So go ahead, make us some money and we won't censor you. And as far as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth goes, with Square, it could be, again, the idea of what you want it to be. But at the same time, it could just be the fact that this is Final Fantasy VII. This is one of the most highly anticipated games of Final Fantasy in recent memory, honestly. And when it comes down to it, it would not be too surprising if Square just be like, you know what, we're usually on the censorship side of things with Sony, but to be honest, with Final Fantasy, because we know there's tons of legacy fans and people that's been following the story for years and years and really giving a shit about these characters like that, we probably won't censor it as we would normally because it's just not in the cards for what we need to do here. So, and you also gotta remember that both of these major AAA games are realism looking games. They're still using realism in some shape or form. We won't really know anything until an anime game tries to look, you know, really anime-esque and really see what we can do with that shit. Because if that game doesn't get censored, then it's a good chance that we could be back. Then it's a good chance that we could absolutely be back. But right now, this is a wait and see approach because we don't necessarily know for sure if this is actually like the end of ESG in Sony and all that type of stuff, right? We still gotta deal with California because Sony's still in California. And even though we might have a Japanese president presiding over things, that doesn't necessarily mean that Californians ain't gonna try to get, you know, their dumb takes and whatever nonsense into the games that still is out there right now. The way I see it is this: the only way we're gonna know if we're actually back is by three different things. One, we get another AAA game that goes ham on the sexy stuff and female character stuff and not necessarily make anything ugly and all that type of junk that we've been getting for like the past 5 years, right? So that's number one. Number two, indie games. We need to see indie games pull off something similar and put on PlayStation Network and see if they're gonna get censored or not. If they don't get censored, good signs, right? They don't have to be anything crazy, they don't have to be anything super wild, but if we don't see any heavy censorship, then that's a good sign that, you know, things could be starting to return back to normal, right? But we're gonna need to see a lot of indie games, or at least fair few indie games come through to just say, yeah, we got titties in this game, what you gonna do about it, Sony, and see what kind of happens with that shit. And lastly, as I said before, we really need to see an anime game get, you know, the big boobas and all that type of stuff, and see what Sony is gonna do with that if they decide to put it on their product in console or whatever, and see if that's gonna get censored at all. Because if that doesn't get censored, then it's like a, oh shit, we might be back type of moment, honestly. So many people got burned by Sony because of the damn censorship shit. So it's not easy to just say, oh yeah, we got titties, we're back. No, we're not back. Not just yet. It's like finding a raft on an island, but you only got one piece of wood to work with. You gotta find the other pieces to put that shit together and then see what you got, and if it floats, we'll be fine. So basically, if we see a whole bunch of other games that come through having fat titties, fat ass, and nothing being changed and nothing being censored, dumbed down with a fine female character, then we might be back, honestly. So it's just a matter of time. And then you also got to realize with time as well that if they started to go back down the route of the normalcy of being fine female characters and whatever, it's gonna take some time because this shit was going on for 5 years. Lots of people's minds have been tweaked and manipulated within that time frame, and definitely we're gonna have a lot more people to come through to get that shit untweaked and unmanipulated to kind of get back to normalcy again. Basically, just to not necessarily get your hopes up just yet, because we don't necessarily know. Yes, there is a Japanese person that's working as the president now, but that doesn't mean that there's other forces working, you know, against what we want still. But that's essentially all I really want to say for this one, so hopefully they enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on my way out. Also follow me on socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.